Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. I'm back with another Nightmare Queens video where I usually talk about vintage horror written by women from the 1970s, 80s and 90s, but today we're going back a little bit further in time and I'm going to be talking about the anthology Weird Women. This anthology is called Weird Women, classic supernatural fiction by groundbreaking female writers, 1852 to 1923. It was edited by Lisa Morton and Leslie S. Klinger, and it was released just this year in 2020. Overall, I rated this 4 stars. Most of the stories here I thought were excellent, and there were really only a couple that were still good, but maybe not quite as good as I thought the others were. But yeah, overall this was a really solid collection. The collection starts off with an introduction from the editors and yeah, gives a brief overview of the authors and the time period, so that was really interesting. And it also sounds like they had a pretty hard time narrowing down a bunch of really amazing stories to, yeah, just the number that they were able to put into this collection. And then each story is introduced by a short biography of that author and a little bit about their works, so that was all really interesting. There's a really great mix of styles and themes in here. So we do have some that are maybe what you might immediately think of as supernatural, so ghost stories and haunted houses, but there are others that are maybe a little harder to classify, but they are definitely unnerving and unsettling, strange and yeah, weird. And I'll read you their description on that because I think it will get it across much more effectively than I will be able to. It says, this anthology includes ghost stories and tales of haunted houses, as well as mad scientists, werewolves, ancient curses, mummies, psychological terrors, demonic dimensions, and even weird westerns. So like I said, a really great mix of stuff going on here, and I thought all of them were well worth a read. So there are 21 short stories here, and there are definitely a few familiar names you might recognise, such as Elizabeth Gaskell, who wrote North and South, Louisa May Alcott, who wrote Little Women, Frances Hodgson Burnett, who wrote The Secret Garden, and Edith Nesbit, who wrote The Railway Children. So definitely some pretty famous names in here, but probably ones more well known for their other work rather than the supernatural tales like included in this collection. There are also a number of authors here that I had not heard of before, so the fact that their work is being republished here and remembered here is really awesome. So like I said, I really enjoyed all of these stories, and most of them I individually rated 4 stars. Some were slightly less and some were slightly more, and I had 2 standout favourites, one of which was called The Werewolf, written by Clemens Hausmann and was originally published in 1896. And yes, this one is a werewolf story, it's not just a clever name. It's about a small community and a strange woman who turns up there one night. Within this community are 2 twin brothers, one of whom is quickly falling in love with this woman, while the other realises that she is not quite as she seems, but of course no one believes him. This one was so excellently written and so atmospheric. The characters were all really well drawn and I could really picture the scene. It also gets quite violent, which I'll admit I wasn't expecting, but it was, yeah, just such a great story. and had this real timeless quality to it. Like, it could have been written today and would still really stand out. So the fact that it was actually written over 100 years ago really is a testament to her talent. The other standout favourite for me was a story called Transmigration by Doris Sigerson Shorter, which was originally published in 1900. This is about a man who is bedbound and somehow manages to swap bodies with someone else, and so he trots off and commits some really horrendous things. And yeah, it's hard to say too much more about this one without giving away too much, but this was just such a brilliant story. It was pretty demented actually, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Again, really well written and such a great concept and such a compelling story. So if you're looking for an anthology to read, whether it's during this spooky Halloween season or at any time of year, I definitely recommend this one. I really enjoyed it from start to finish, and yeah, just love the fact that these authors and their stories are not being forgotten, and yeah, to have them all in this one collection is really great. And the fact that it has introduced me to some new to me authors that I want to find more work by, yeah, that's always a good thing when an anthology can do that. So a really solid 4 out of 5 stars for Weird Women. Let me know if you have read this one. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you are thinking about picking it up. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!